Hello everybody, hope everyone's doing pretty good today. Make sure I'm centered here. Alright, very good. Everybody's day's going pretty good so far. Everybody's been able to enjoy the warmer weather lately. If you don't have allergies. And even if you do, hopefully you can get outside a little bit and still get the cicadas buzzing around. Alright, so we're going to get started. We're going to start off with our feet. Shoulder width apart and our knees over top of our heels. Hands are on top of the knees. We're just going to sit up nice and tall. We're going to take a deep breath in. When we exhale, we're going to think about drawing the rib cage down to push the air out. Letting the chest expand when you inhale. Sitting up tall. Squeezing those abdominal muscles and pull the rib cage down. Just breathing here. One more breath, and what we're going to do is while we're doing these movements and these postures, make sure that we're still holding contractions, even while we're letting the diaphragm relax and contract. We're still breathing here, we're not holding our breath. So we're going to lock down and kind of hollow a little bit here with our abdomen, pulling that sternum down a little bit, contracting the glutes a little, and still breathing, and just getting a few reps in. Get comfortable doing that here. So again, what's really important is that we're using these isometric exercises to improve core stiffness and improve that posture here. Okay, so kind of make sure we still have a neutral spine here. We're going to make sure that we're engaging all 360 degrees here, and that's again why we kind of put the arms nice and straight, pushing down to the palms of our hands. Now all of a sudden we're activating those lats, those big, powerful shoulder extensors and internal rotators here, pushing down, but ideally if we're still contracting the stomach muscle just nice, what's going to happen is our chest isn't going to lift up, it's going to stay nice and neutral, and our back isn't going to arch, it's going to remain neutral here. So you'll feel the chest maybe lift forward a little bit, but it shouldn't be facing up to the sky. Constant effort, pushing through the palms of the hands, you'll feel the shoulders draw back and down. And everything that we do in here is pretty much effort dependent. So the harder you're going to contract and the longer that we're going into it, the more intense this is going to be. So this is all about what you put in is what you get out. I kind of like things like that. That means if you're in it halfway and you're kind of like, oh, I'm a little too deep, you can kind of back off pretty easily. And we're just breathing right now, getting used to the position, the posture, sitting up nice and tall. Shoulders will roll back and down, still push with the palms of your hands. The glutes are contracted even in the seated position, and the abdomen is contracted here. And everybody's kind of relax for a second. Shake the arms out if you need to. We're going to reset. So starting off with drawing the rib cage down, pulling that sternum down, contracting the abdomen, contracting those glutes, pushing the palms of your hands on top of the knees. Now we're going to slide those hands about mid-thigh. And we're going to lean back just a little bit in our chairs here. So again, make sure that you get to the front of your chair as best you can, that we have a little bit of room. You're going to feel that weight shift back towards your hips. It's not going to completely leave your feet, but you're going to feel the majority come back towards your hips. You should feel the abdomen having to work more here. Now even in this position, we don't want our chest facing up towards the ceiling, but we do want to keep those lats engaged and the shoulders rolled back. So even in this position here, you're still pushing through the palms of your hands. And we're going to slide forward, coming up, still holding the contractions here, still breathing. Connect another rep here. Now, everything's going to move together. Palms are going to come back with the shoulders as we tilt back. Hold. You don't want your feet coming up all the way off the floor. If that's the case, you're probably leaning back a little too far. And now we're going to rotate. So we're going to rotate towards our left side. So what's going to happen is our left hand's going to draw up the thigh. The right is going to lead, is going to kind of strap forward. And I've just rotated a little bit here. Now I'm still using the stomach muscles. My head's trying to relax. I'm still breathing. I'm still pushing down with the palms of my hands onto my thighs. And then we're going to rotate towards the right. Right hand. It's going to draw up the thigh. The left is going to come down. Still lean back here. You might have more difficulty or a little easier motion depending on which way that you're turning here, and you'll find that out as you go through these exercises. And now we're going to even up, still lean back, and coming forward. Now, even when go ahead and relax for a second. Even when we're going back in those positions, it's very easy to hold your breath. You might even kind of forget that you're holding your breath. So even when we're all the way back there, you might notice that your breath gets a little shallow. I would rather your breath stay shallow than you holding your breath all together. We don't want to get into a habit of just when this is engaged that we're having to hold the breath. We don't want to create that habit here, even though it might be involuntary. So let's do that again, and then this time as we go back, maintaining all of those positions, try to keep in the back of your head, make sure you're breathing, not holding your breath. Contracting the abdomen, pulling the ribcage down, contracting your glutes. Down here with the palms of your hands, pushing through the top of the knee, you'll feel those shoulder blades draw back and down. You should have a nice neutral spine here. You should feel all 360 degrees of that core is lit up right now. Sliding back, pushing down through the palms of your hands, letting that weight shift mostly towards the hip, not to the point where your feet are coming up. Now we're going to rotate towards the right. Right hand is going to draw up the thigh, left hand is going to ease down the thigh a little bit here. Relax your head a little bit. Your head is just going to kind of follow with the shoulders here now. Even the palms of the hands are still pushing down to the thighs. You're making contact, and it's all effort dependent. If you want to get a little bit more out of it, you push down harder. Biggest thing is that you just don't want your back to arch, so make sure you're breathing. It's okay if the breathing is shallow, and rotate over towards the left. Left hand draws up, right hand draws down. Regardless, still pushing through. Palms of your hands on top of the thighs to help keep those shoulders engaged. And breathing, make sure we're not holding our breath. We're going to even up, come forward, relax. So again, for those of you who it's the first time that you're coming through and viewing this, just a little quick reminder of the positions we go through. It's hollow and arch. I'm not saying hollow. I'm telling you to contract your glutes, posteriorly tilting your pelvis. Contracting the abdomen, which pulls our sternum down towards our pelvis. It pulls our pelvis up towards our sternum. That's what the abdomen does. That's its function here. And an arch is going to be the exact opposite. So it's going to anteriorly tilt the pelvis, your glutes will relax, your abdomen is going to relax, you'll feel that arch, or you'll see that arch there a little bit, and the shoulders draw back and down. And ideally what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to achieve a nice balance between those two, where you activate both muscular systems that contribute to both those positions at the same time. What you get is a nice equilibrium here. And that's that neutral spine. Okay, so we're going to grab, nothing just yet, but we're going to bring our feet a little wider this time. We're going to kind of work a little bit on some thoracic mobility. So the ability of our thoracic rib cage here to kind of move and rotate a little bit. So we're going to work on some rotation here with see if I can do this backwards. My left hand, I'm going to grab the outside of my right knee. Now, don't let your knee buckle in, because you're going to pull on it. So keep that knee, keep that knee out. It's going to turn on that abductor on the outside of that hip here. This is going to be kind of like your helping hand right here. What we're going to do is you're going to use it, you're going to kind of like pull yourself, but instead of your arm really moving, your shoulders are going to turn towards the right. You're using that left hand to pull on the outside of that right leg, and I'm kind of twisting my upper torso here. So I'm trying to get that right side of my chest to turn up towards the ceiling. That's just the direction it's going. You don't have to force it to face straight up. And then relax, and then pull in again. So there's two ways you can do this here. You can really rely on this hand here, or you can just try to use it gingerly and kind of force the rotation of those muscles inside of your torso. Ideally, we'll definitely do that by using this hand to help as needed. And now with the right hand, we're going to reach up towards the ceiling. Now, if you can't get it face up towards the ceiling, it's fine. You can just kind of go out to the side. And then see where else we're going to go here. Now tilt forward in your chair just a tad. Trying to keep your back straight. And relax. Woo. We're going to do that again. You should feel this all cross-sectionally. Same side. Left hand, grab from outside of the right knee. Rotating up. Now this time I want you to grab that ceiling. And I want you to come underneath the armpit of that left side and throw it to the wall. Grab the wall, throw it back towards the ceiling. That's when you get to use that helping hand as you come up. And we're going to do that again. Grab the ceiling, throw it to the wall. Reach through, grab the wall, throw it back towards the ceiling. And again. Grab that wall, throw it to the ceiling. Grab the ceiling, throw it back to the wall. Last time passing through, coming up, grab that wall, throw it back to the ceiling, and rest. Woo. You're going to feel that all over torso. You'll feel a lot of your shoulders here. And now we're going to do the other side. So I'm giving you a wide base, which is why I'm having your feet go out nice and wide. You can tilt forward a little bit here so that when you turn, your back can stay nice and straight. So with our right hand grabbing the outside of the left knee, let's just kind of ease into it. So right here, we're just going to kind of pull as needed. If you want to, you can kind of just use that knee gingerly, and you can just face up, turning that left shoulder up towards the ceiling there. You feel this all cross-sectionally throughout your back, your side, torso in general. Relax. Sit up a little bit. Check it out if you need to. Tilt forward just a tad. Keep that back nice and straight. Grab, and we're going to rotate again. This time we're going to reach up with that left hand towards the ceiling. And we just have to go straight up to the ceiling. That's just it's fine if it doesn't. That's just the direction we're heading. What's great with mobility exercises, it's not necessarily about you being able to get to B. It's about where you are right now and the progress you're going to make on the way to B. And we're going to relax for a second here. Let yourself come up. That could be the real big one, is when you're first sticking that arm up there, then it really forces that shoulder to extend. All right, so let's go again. This time we're going to add in that rotation, okay? We're going to grab that ceiling. We're going to come underneath the armpit, towards the wall. When you're reaching through there, grab that wall, throw it back to the ceiling, breathe. Grab that ceiling, throw it back to the wall. Grab the wall, back to the ceiling. Breathing throughout, ceiling to the wall, reaching through, grab that wall, throw it back to the ceiling. Grab the ceiling, throw it to the wall. Grab that wall, throw it back to the ceiling. One more time. From the ceiling to the wall. From the wall to the ceiling. Now nobody has to do this next one. You can go ahead and kind of move around a little bit if you want to. But just to show you where this came from, where I learned it from, they put you in a pigeon. So for those of you who don't even want to do this one, it's up to you. Y'all don't have to do this here. But the reason why we're doing this seated is it gets to fix your pelvis, so that way your lumbar stays nice and tight and you can focus on the rotation there. Initially, I learned this exercise doing it pigeon when you're on the ground in this position here, and you would reach through, grab, bring it up, grab the ceiling, reach through here. So my pelvis is fixed. But we can do modifications off the chair. Like I said, that's not something that you got to do at all. But just for a little bit of fun, that's where the fruit came from. All right, so let's grab our PVC one last time on the chair before we get up to our feet. All right, so kind of like a rolling pin. We're going to have our arms extended here. They're on the outside. So when we engage our internal rotators. So or latissimus dorsi. They are internal rotators. And it's okay, it's like you're on the motorcycle, your hands are already pronated. So when you push down, just to make sure I'm not overemphasizing any internal rotation, it's an even push through the index finger and the pinky. So I shouldn't be trying to do like this, and I shouldn't be trying to do right here. Just trying to evenly push throughout my palm, and you'll feel those shoulders engage, and the elbows, keep in mind that they're straight, keeping the abdomen engaged, squeezing the glutes. So now we're locked in right now. You're pushing through. So when you really push down through here, that's when you feel those back muscles all kick on a lot. Now, provided they're not overpowering, and you know they would, because if they're overpowering, the chest would come up because you'd be overarching here, but that's okay, it's not happening. We're keeping that core nice and engaged here. Pushing through PVC, and now we're going to pull the PVC to mid-thigh. And now we're going to push away back from the PVC, leaning back, tilting. And ideally what happens is you can get your arms straight again without having to worry about your weight completely coming back and your feet flying up. You want to keep those feet down here. And just push down hard, still pushing down hard here. You're going to feel a little bit more work having to be done on the stomach because we're all tilted backwards here. Now we're just going to push it forward. So what happens is when we come from here to here and back forward, nothing's changing. I'm not extending, I'm not following in any position, I'm still maintaining that neutral spine even as we're coming into these different positions. And that's what we're training here, is we're training this to be a nice stable foundation so we can do movements with our limbs here. Let's pull it back a little bit further than mid-thigh. This is going to force you to tilt back a little bit more, as long as it doesn't put you in a place where you feel like you're going to spill backwards. And we're going to extend the arms back as we tilt. Still pushing down. It gets a little bit more difficult still, but you should still feel those shoulders contracting and depressing back. And breathing, and we're not holding our breath. Still breathing, letting that diaphragm relax and contract, and pushing that forward. Woo. Okay, relax a little bit and stand up and walk around if you need to. If you're feeling a little stiff right now, just kind of move just a little bit here. Now, we're going to grab our yoga strap. We can put the PVC down. If you're seated, if you want to turn to like the right in your chair, this can help because we're going to throw this behind us. You can kind of like a jump rope almost. You can grab the very ends and you can kind of flip it behind you, and hopefully that makes it easier. And then kind of just tighten it up a little bit. Get your guys up, get your hands right up here. You're going to put your, so if I told you to turn to your right in your chair, it probably looks like this. You're going to put your left hand through one of the notches here. Not the middle notch, but kind of like towards the end of the band, one of the last three. Now, there's two ways you can do it. You can just put the hand right here, just talking about your left hand. Yeah, your left hand. Left hand's in band. Or you can put your whole wrist through it. It's up to you. I like putting my wrist through it because then once I put my wrist through it, I can just grab the strap and it's got a good lock on me, and I don't really have to use a lot of my forearm muscles to hold on to it. Just make sure once you grab through, once you put your wrist through, if you're gonna do that way, that you still grab. You're still grabbing it. Or you can just kind of have it in a way where it's like you're just shaking it. In either case, this is the hand that's going behind you. Okay? If you're seated, basically you're going to have the palm face behind you here. This could already be a relatively uncomfortable position. Biggest thing is that you're turned away so that way the arm of the chair isn't in your way. But the other hand, that right hand, you can either just grab the strap like this, or you can put your hand in the strap so you're giving it a little handshake. And from here, that's going to be the guiding arm. What we're doing here, this hand's going to come behind us and behind our back. Oh, everyone's got a whole bunch of static right there. That's important. It's going to reach behind us. But instead of having you to do that actively, this hand out here is just going to pull that arm. Now, my arm right here is having to do a little bit of work. So I got this nice little notch right here. If I have to readjust, just bring your hand a little bit closer on the strap. And you can do that. So that's if you're seated right here. And all you're doing is just letting that arm, that left arm, stay nice and relaxed, as this arm is kind of pulling the feet through, just like that. Now, to make it easier on the arm that's out to the side, bring it forward, and now you can use a little bit of leverage, and now you don't have to pull as hard. And now that back hand can kind of relax. You should feel a little bit of tension in the rotator cuff, on the outside of that upper arm, maybe even the top side of the shoulder. All right, so go ahead and relax for a second. Let that arm come down if you need to let it release. We're going to do something similar here. So now we're going to turn this little strap to a book bag strap. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to use all this little slack here. I'm going to get it so I can bring it over my shoulder, kind of like I'm slinging my book bag over my shoulder here. And now keep in mind, if this was really intense, then be careful doing this one and maybe just stick with this. But now I'm going to give you a lot of leverage. And now this hand's going to be coming up, higher up your back. Just like that. That's the direction it's going. It's okay if it doesn't go there. This hand, you just got to extend it out, and it can help pull it up. The elbow hopefully will point down towards the ground. And now you'll feel a little bit more in the rotator cuff outside of the upper part of the arm, and maybe even a little bit more in terms of the top side of that shoulder here. Now with the book bag strap, bring it down, and now it should be a lot easier for you to hold. And you can basically kind of locking it into position. And again, this hand behind your back is just hanging out. It's the mobility where if you're getting arrested, cops will be very impressed. They got your hand back there and you didn't say, ow. Normally, I'm sure they love that. Like, they didn't even say ow at all. Makes you feel like maybe a contortionist. All right, go ahead and slowly release. Relax it a little bit. Be careful. Let it be slow when you bring it out. It might be a little achy when you're finally getting that muscle let go. Remember, these are small muscle groups that we're stretching here. So that some of our external rotators here that can be a little sensitive here. Very gingerly. Switching, doing the same thing. Now, if you're seated, you're going to turn towards the other way in your chair. So towards your left. Right hand's going to go through. Remember, you can shake hands with it if you want to, or you can put your whole hand through, and that way you can grab. And I just think it's easier because my grip doesn't, I don't really have to contract my hand or my forearm muscles. Remember, you're bringing it behind you. It's behind you. It should already stay behind you. That would actually be the easier thing if you're already in the chair. You don't have to go chasing the strap around. And with the other hand, find a notch that's going to give you the leverage you need. It allows that arm to kind of extend out a little bit, and you're just going to kind of pull that hand across the upper part of your hips and that lower back area. This is just the direction it's going. Some of you coming just right here, that's fine. You can feel the stretch already. Your arm is internally rotating. It's going to be that much more difficult if you want to bring it here. That's just the direction you're going. Let your lower back kind of guide your hand as this strap out here is used to push it, and to kind of lock it in position, bring it out to the front, and that way it just gets a little bit easier for your arm to hold. Now you should be able to be applying a pretty good amount of tension through pulling. So this arm is, that hand is relaxed, and that's why I like that position, because I'm not going to worry about grabbing and squeezing it. I can kind of keep it locked right there. Give it a second, and then we're going to relax. Now we're going to turn it into that book bag strap with all this extra slack we have. Kind of sling it over. And again, all you got to do is kind of raise it up, or you can push it, pull it forward, pull the arm forward. In any case, it's going to bring that hand up and pull that elbow down towards the floor and the shoulder. down towards the floor. And then once you get it up there, you can just bring it across and down, and that was what locks it in, and now I can really relax that hand there. This range of motion is so easy to lose, and once you lose it, anything's possible.
Frozen shoulder.
Frozen shoulder, that's one thing. Tendinopathy, that's another thing. Bursitis, all these sorts of things that you can get from not having enough space underneath the shoulder. It's called that subacromial space. If you palpate the outside of your shoulder, you feel that bone that's right there, that's your acromion. There's this little space that's under there, or there should be some space under there. When your arm is at the side, there's a little bit of space, but when you raise your arm up, that space closes. Now, basically, your range of motion is dictated by how much space is there once your arm raises up overhead, but doing certain stretches and exercise can help promote and increase the space there at rest. Because when there's a small amount of space there, and there's basically none once you raise your arm up, that's when impingement can happen. And you get all those friction forces going on there, and you can get bursitis and tendinitis, and that's when all that pain starts to flare up. You go ahead and relax. Woo! Nice and easy. Those muscles can very easily be tender. They're really small. So those small external rotators, not too bad. All right, so now that we've stretched out our external rotators here, we're going to activate them a little bit. So with the TVC, or you can use your strap if you want to, if you have problems trying to hold this here. But ideally, most people should be able to get the PVC up to their clavicle. Now, when we're up here in front of the clavicle, what ideally we want to do is we want to try to get your forearms as vertical or perpendicular towards the relationship to the floor. That's where we want to be, as close as you can. Now, if this is easy and you can even push your elbows further than that, and that's no problem, you can bring it above and over and around the back of your head. Just the top back side of your shoulders. So it's where all that meat is right here. It's on your trap muscle. So it's not on my neck. It's on the shoulders here. And then from there, ideally, if you can get your arms vertical here, that's great as well. So from here, we're going to make sure that we're still locking in our posture. Remember, we don't want any compensation to happen. So if I were to tell you just to relax your stomach and just push your elbows forward as far as you can, you'll probably feel your lower back starting to arch already. We don't want compensation to happen. We want this to be a nice, solid structure right here, okay? So we don't want the foundation of our house to be bending and swooping and wooing just with the gust of wind. So lock in those stomach muscles. Squeeze your glutes. Make sure that your feet are shoulder width apart here, no closer than hip width. And now push those elbows forward. Now again, you're going to have the PVC in front of you. Make sure it's touching the clavicle or your collarbone. Pushing those elbows forward. You might notice that they're not going as far, but we're really focusing on that thoracic extension here and that flexibility you have in your rotator cuff. Further you push those elbows further, the harder you're going to have to contract that stomach because the more that lower back wants to compensate. Now, keeping those elbows forward, we're going to tilt laterally towards our right, drawing that right elbow down towards the hip. Now, I don't want you just to tilt, but I also want you to really contract those oblique muscles to pull it down, and then relax them to let it come back up. Contract the left oblique muscles, bring that left elbow down. Still pushing elbows forward, squeezing your glutes, squeezing the abdomen, and breathing. Level up, relax. You can bring the PVC down, shake the arms out a little bit if you need to. All right, so what we're going to do next is we'll come back up to that position. We're going to do one each of their own. We'll do the left elbow, right elbow. We'll do both again. We're going to rotate, leading with one, just like that, and then we're going to do our figure eights right here. Now, when we're doing all of these motions, we don't want any movement from here down to occur. This is all locked in. So how do we do that? We hollow a little bit, squeeze the abdomen, squeeze those glutes. You're already going to feel your lats engaged just by keeping the PVC here, okay? So we're in place, everything's contracted, pushing the elbows forward. Relax both elbows. Let's just do the left elbow forward. You'll notice that it might move a little bit further on its own. Still all relative and subjective. It's not really that far that the elbow's really moving here. Relax. Push the right elbow forward. And relax. Both elbows forward. Relax both elbows down. Left elbow is going to come forward. Now we're going to rotate towards the right. Still squeezing the abdomen, squeezing the glutes. You're going to feel tension throughout your core change a little bit as we're rotating. As best you can, try not to shift your weight. Still keep weight evenly distributed between both feet. Relax that left elbow. Right elbow comes forward as you rotate towards the left. Breathing. And then relax, come back to the front. Relax the elbows to keep your core and your glutes engaged. Now what we do is we tilt it to the side and we rotate it. That's what a figure eight is. It's just coordinating the rotation, tilt, rotation, tilt. It's just repeat. Okay, so let's keep it slow at the beginning. We're going to head towards our right, leading with the left, rotating. Tilt down towards, did I say that backwards? Tilting down towards the right. Pushing the right elbow forward, rotating towards the left. Tilt down towards the left now. Relax that right elbow as you push the left elbow forward, rotating towards the right. And then repeat. Tilt, rotate, tilt, rotate. Now we're going to make it confusing. Reverse that. Go back the other way you came. Tilt, rotate, tilt, rotate, tilt, and relax. Woo. Shake that out here. Now another way to challenge that even further is you could do that seated, squeezing a foam roller in between your knees and really locking in, doing these motions here where you just kind of come back, tilt, tilt, come back, tilt, tilt, and squeezing the foam roller in between will kind of lock that pelvis up even further. It's really kind of isolating that here. Again, it's really important to make sure you can extend here. So, next thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on some shoulder flexion and trying to get into a nice overhead position here. So, if at any point in time you want to use the band because the PVC just gets a little too rough, please switch to the band. What we're going to do first here is when we're engaging those elbows forward. Of course, we're going to contract the abdomen and the glutes here. Pushing those elbows forward, we're going to extend that neck. So kind of acting, stimulating some of those deep neck flexors. We push our chin. So if someone asks you to push your chin into the back of your neck, it's just going to kind of move it out of the way. I'm going to move my mic here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to push up. Now, it's going to be based on your range of movement here, or your range of motion. What we're going to do is we're just going to bring the PVC just above the level of our eye. What I want you to do is while we're in this position here is I still want you to externally rotate your arms. So it's the same thing as telling you to push it out like this and try to bend the PVC. So go ahead and put your hands out in front like this. We're going to do this one here where it's if you can't see me do it, but I'm trying to turn my thumbs up, I'm trying to bend the PVC. PVC won't actually bend. What will happen is your elbows externally rotate, your upper arm externally rotates. The shoulders are back and down a little bit easier. Pull it back up to just above eye level just by bending the elbows here. Continuing to try to do that should squeeze the elbows in front of you. When we're pressing ahead and we got a solid object like this, that's what we want. We don't want the elbows tweening out wide like that because that's internally rotated. That's going to be bad for our space in our shoulder. Now from here, once that PVC just gets above eye level, then relax the elbows and fully extend to a position that's comfortable for you. So whether that means out a little bit, up a little bit further. At this point here, you just kind of want to try to lock out. Now don't necessarily associate the PVC above your head. If you can, keeping this locked in there, don't extend the back. trying to stack the PVC over top of your shoulders. And just let your head relax. Now, don't relax your head. Pull it back in out of the way because we don't want to crush it when we bring the PVC back down. And relax. Woo. Shake it out a little bit if you need to. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a hip hinge. And I want us to take this, and we're kind of creating a shelf here. I'm extended, but without my lower back having to extend. That's what my thoracic vertebrae are going to help to do here. I'm going to tilt, I'm going to hinge forward. Remember, not overarching, not hollowed. I'm doing both, and I have a nice neutral spine here, so it's a flat back. In this position, I'll push my elbows forward. Now, what I'm going to have everybody do is you're going to have PVC is going to be in front of your shoulder. Get my mic out of the way here. And from here, I'm going to push down. And when I push away, bend that bar. Try to bend that bar as if you're trying to turn your thumbs up. You're going to feel the outside of those shoulder muscles working here. You're just going to pull it back in, just like you had. Bend the elbows. Now push it out a little bit more towards the wall in front of you this time. As you extend, you're keeping those elbows squeezed in, trying to bend that bar. Take notice right now. Are you still breathing? And make sure your weight is evenly distributed. Make sure both hands are acting on the bar evenly as best they can. Pulling it back in where it started. And now this time, while we're still tilted forward with the flat back, now we're going to go straight up like we were doing when we were standing. Straight up, over top of the shoulders or in line with the shoulders here. Bring it back in, hinge back up, shake those legs out, take a second. Woo. Now, definitely make sure that be careful not to get lightheaded, things like that. We don't want to hold our breath for too long. When you do come back up nice and slow. Slowly kind of let those contractions go. Try not to just let everything go all at once here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. So we're not going to hinge the same way we did before in relation to the bar. We're going to push the bar out, but our elbows are going to first start back. Kind of like the opposite of what I'm telling everybody to do from the get-go here. But I still want you to bend the bar when you push out, okay? When you pull back in, you don't have to really worry about having to emphasize it that much. It's a little bit more natural, okay? So, elbows are back a little, knees are slightly bent, you're contracting the stomach, contracting those glutes here, and we're gonna hinge forward just a little bit. We're gonna push straight down. Extend the elbows forward. Same thing here. Trying to bend that bar in this position. Now we're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to bring the bar towards our thighs, keeping our arms straight. Now my weight shouldn't be shifted forward. I should still have a nice center of gravity in between both my feet and middle feet. Now right here, we're going to start to emphasize the internal rotation. We're going to feel the opposite part of that shoulder. Now, as if you're pushing mostly through the index finger, that portion of the palm of your hand. Now push, use those lats like we were doing when we were seated with the PVC. Really push that bar into the thigh. Almost try to lift the pinky side of your palm up a little bit off. See how you can probably see the palm of my hand a little bit right now? Because what we're doing is internally rotating, really squeeze that in. You're going to feel the lats light up, but we're really going to feel our subscapularis muscle lighting up right here. And now, we'll make sure you have a good grip. Squeezing even harder as you start to stand up. Squeezing the glutes as you become fully extended in the abdomen, as you really dig the bar to the top of the thigh as hard as you can, but without arching, and relax. Shake your legs out if your legs are getting a little stiff. If your feet are cramping up, anything like that at all, make sure that you're kind of repositioning a little bit, shake the feet out a little, and make sure that the weight isn't shifting forward, that you're evenly distributing weight throughout. All right. Now we're going to go through 3 reps here. We're going to speed it up a little bit. Okay. So we're going to reach out. So we're going to tilting. We're reaching out, focusing on externally rotating our arms by bending the bar. Then we're going to pull it in. Do the opposite. Basically, kind of lift the pinky off. Push in nice and tight. We'll come up, draw it in, squeezing it real tight at the top. This is where you should really feel the abdomen having to fight to maintain a nice neutral spine here. Otherwise, if I let go of my abdomen, that's what's happening here. We don't want to do that. We want to stay nice and static. All right, we're going to do 3 reps, okay? Starting up, elbows back, knees are slightly bent, tilting forward, pushing down, bending that bar, pulling in, pushing in as hard as you can, more so on the index finger side. Now we're starting to stand up, squeezing those glutes, breathing, squeezing those stomach muscles even harder as you're really pushing, squeezing that bar into the top of your thigh. And relax. Not too bad. Get ready. We gotta do that 2 more times. Reset. Knees are bent. Hinge. A little bit faster. Push out. Bend that bar. Pull it back. Squeeze into the thigh. More so on the index finger. Standing up. Squeezing the glutes. Squeezing the abdomen. Squeezing as hard as you can into the top of the thigh. And relax. Last time. Bars up. Elbows back. Knees are bent. Hinging, extend, break the bar, push in, squeeze. Really feel the inner part of that palm pushing in hard, starting to stand up, pushing evenly, squeezing the glutes and the stomach and hold, breathe, squeeze hard, keep that abdomen engaged, standing nice and tall and relax. I'm working up a sweat. That's why I'm always in black. You can't tell how hard I'm working.
Or not.
Right? Or not. All right, so you can ditch the PVC for a second, or for the rest of the class here. We're just going to kind of go through our accentuated hollow and then to an accentuated arch. So I'll turn it aside so you can see. Hands are in front. They will end up at your sides when we stand back up. At the beginning, they're going to start at the front. We're just going to kind of hollow, contract the stomach, let the head relax forward, contract into the glutes, letting your hands just kind of sink and way down towards the knees. But you don't want the weight to shift forward. You're just kind of really rounding out that back by contracting the stomach muscles real hard right here. You should even feel those core muscles working on your ribs, drawing the ribs down and the sides. Now really start to push a little bit more, squeezing palms of your hands into your thighs. You should feel those lats really engaged. And now we're squeezing the glutes as we're extending the knees a little bit. And like starting from the very lower parts of your spine, 1 vertebrae at a time, starting the lengthening, starting to raise up a little bit more. Once you feel that sternum get set in place, don't let the chest rise up. Keep that stomach nice and tight. Squeeze hard with the palms of your hands. Feel the shoulders draw back and down. Now we should be standing up nice and tall. And almost let those hands slide to the side of our pockets. Now squeeze the arms into the sides here. Standing up nice and tall. Our head is level. And relax. Good job. Shake it out. Well done, everyone.
Thank you.
Hopefully we're not too tight anywhere. We should feel nice and open. The core you should feel a little stiffer in the core, but in a supportive way. And if your lower back's bothering you at all, try and maybe do some more hip hinging here and kind of lengthen the chest out a little bit more, and that'll give you a nice good stretch. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you
Next
all for
time
joining.
I'll remember to go over. Right.
Yeah, so no, this is great. Now ideally, remember this is not the complete